to talk about what today and get everything in order. And I think we've got a really good lineup for y'all today. We've got we're going to have good representation from some larger county fairs, some smaller county fairs. I'm going to talk a little bit about our state fair for Davidson County, and we're just going to have a good time. And feel free to ask questions. Each speaker is going to get about 10 minutes to go over their area, and then at the end, of course, we want to open it up and hear from everyone else. If there are neat and interesting things that you are doing at your fairs, we would love to hear about those and see how you are getting the community involved and educating others and marketing for Extension and Tennessee Extension Master Gardeners, and how to use that as a tool for recruiting. So there's lots of different ways, that people could approach this, and you could try to hit on all of them, or maybe your county just focuses on one. Maybe you're just focused on education. Maybe you don't have the manpower to do that, and you just set up a booth and you focus on recruiting and have information displayed or what have you. So that's kind of what I wanted to hear from people today, is just what they have going on in their counties, and just share that with all of us so that maybe we can glean a little bit of information from that and take some of these ideas back to our own counties and try to use them. So first up, I have Putnam County, and is going to present first, and I actually have put together a little slideshow. Everybody sent some pictures, and so as they talk, I'll try to kind of go through the slides to be displaying whatever topic they happen to be discussing at the time. So let me try to get my screen shared with you all, and I want to share, which one do I want to share? I guess I'll share this one. Okay, just hold on just a second. I'm going to start the slideshow, and y'all tell me here in a second if you can see it. Can you see it? It says Fun at the Fair?
Yes.
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 Great.
Okay, good deal. So first up, we've got Putnam County. Mr. Wayne Key, are you with us, or do you have a volunteer who'll be presenting for us today?
I'm Vicki Draper, and I'm presenting for Wayne.
Okay, thank you, Vicki. I did not know. I appreciate that. So, Miss Vicki, I'm going to let you take the floor, and you just walk us through what y'all do and just share any kind of information that you think would be beneficial for us to hear about.
Okay, this is the exhibit that we did year before last. It was Charlotte's Web, and we made this barn and painted it, and all the animals were made out of plant material, and Wilbur is made out of moss, and the old sheep is made out of almost 200 Dusty Miller plants. And here's a close-up of Wilbur, and the ducks were made out of gourds.
Sorry, I'm just trying to keep up with you. I'll go back and forth. You just talk freely.
All right, we've got some ducks. We try to make everything out of animal material. You can see the pond there where the swan was. And Wilbur's famous green crate when he won the prize at the fair. And we try to do something kind of cute and clever where people want to bring their children in to see to bring them in just to see it. And when we get them inside, then we try to sell them on becoming a master gardener. And we have a person that's designated to, he could sell anything. So he talks to everyone, gets their name and phone number if they're interested. And then we call them later on, right before the classes start in January. We start calling them in November, trying to get them to sign up. And we had 27 interns this year, so it worked. And we have games set up outside. We also have exhibits on bees and how to make crafts for your garden. And we also have we had rock painting last year that was very popular. We had to we did thousands, literally thousands of rocks, and the kids loved it, and the older people did too. Lots of grandchildren, families would come in and all paint a rock together. We also let every child that comes in that wants to plant a plant and take it home. And then we have a garden. Last year we had a garden display. You notice I keep saying last year because you can never count on the weather about what you're going to have outside. But we had like a small garden, and we've had herb gardens in the past. And you got any other pictures of my other exhibits that I
Yes,
sent you?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this was Alice in Wonderland we did a couple of years ago. Natalie, you came through and saw this. This was our first project that we did. We had the black and white tile floors, and we had a member made the chess pieces, and you can see the flamingos we had, and we made mallets out of those, and that was fun. That got us started. And there's a close-up of the Mad Hatter's Tea Party. And it's really hard to keep plants when it's almost 100 degrees inside the building. They don't last long. So we had to we changed them a lot that year, but last year it was nice. It wasn't so hot.
And that tree that you have there in the background, that's so cool. Were those just branches you cut down from something?
Off of one of our members has what's that guy's name? The curly willow tree, the walking.
Harry Lauder's walking stick.
Correct, Jake's
Mm-hmm.
correct. Yes, Harry Lauder's walking stick. We've used that tree every year. Those branches came out. It had a dead spot, and so every year we move those branches and we use them for something else. But it was a great thing for Alice in Wonderland because they do look surreal, don't they?
They do.
And let's see. Now this year we changed the barn. This is last year. We changed the barn into. We did like a fairy tale in the woods, and this is the house, the fairy house for the grandmother, and we've got Red Riding Hood's cloak hanging out the side, and we just took the same building. This year we think we're going to turn the building back into a barn, and we grew all the plants, of course, and we had a whole woodland scene. And do you have a picture of the mud man? Did I send that?
No, ma'am. I think this was the last one that I had.
Okay, well, he didn't send the ones I sent by text. Okay. You have any questions?
Yeah, Vicki, tell us a little bit about what you guys do with kids in the demonstration area. Don't you have a youth workshop area?
Well, they can grow we have where they pot their own seeds and pot their own plants that they can take with them. It's really important to have bags that they can carry this around with them. So we put the plant down in the bag, then they can paint the rocks, and while the rocks are drying, they can go over and plant their plant, and then they can go outside, and there's games out there. I'm not too swift on the games, but I know they've got cornhole, and a lot of parents like to come over there because we're free. And you know, the fair, when you're down on the Midway, you can spend $100 before you know what you're doing. So we're very popular with kids, and they always want to walk into our exhibit. They want to get inside and walk on the steps, and they want to open the door and see who's back there.
Yeah. That is so creative. Who comes up with your ideas for your theme? Do you let your theme stretch out more than 1 year? I get so tired of thinking of new ideas.
Well, I kind of come up with the themes.
Okay.
For the last 3 years. I really enjoy doing that part of it. I can't do anything, but I can think of a lot. And so I've got, there's a lot of people in the club that have a lot of different talents. And, you know, some people maybe aren't good with growing vegetables, but they can paint, and they want to be involved with plants some way or other, and they want to help. So I try to speak to everybody's talents and pull it all together. I can't do anything, but I can cheer everybody on and try to pull it together and get people to come and put it up.
And it does, I mean, it looks so real when you're looking at this, the Little Red Riding Hood. I mean, it feels like you're in the woods, like in the forest.
Well, I wish I'd have got a better side picture of this, but we had a 10-foot wreath that you had to walk through to meander back through to this. And I somehow or other didn't have a good photograph. I couldn't find the photograph of it. But also we did a mud man. And I know some of you know what that is, because in England, when they had the big storm back in the 80s and it destroyed a lot of things, they decided to take all the trees and things that were torn up and make something out of them. They didn't want to turn them into mulch. And they took stumps and made things out of them. And so we took that idea and made our own mud man. And I'm hoping that somewhere in Tennessee, I'm going to see a mud man that somebody got this idea from us and made it, because you can grow plants in it, and we made a face out of it, and it was pretty neat.
That is so cool. How long does it take y'all to set like these sets up? Do you start like a week before the fair, or you just come in the night before? Or
No. We spend a lot of time, just like on the picture of Charlotte's Web, the old sheep, that's got 200 plants in it.
Oh my goodness.
So it took a long time to find 200 plants in Cookeville, Tennessee, which we had to go far and wide to get 200 plants and keep them alive all summer and get them to grow. And then a member made the head out of clay.
Wow.
But the sheep weighed, I don't know how much it weighed. It took several large men to get it inside. Once we set the soil down, got the frame down and put the soil in it, then we just started adding to it. And then everybody wanted to take it home, but nobody knew how. It was really big and it was hard. But what I do is I divide everything up. We have a plan, and I just tell, like, one person made all 3 pigs, another person made the sheep. Then when we start putting it together, it's all hands on deck. And we all come together and put it up. I have to have a lot of confidence in everybody that they'll be there with their item.
I mean, even the fence, like that wooden barnwood fence. I mean, that you had to build a fence inside.
Yes, we did. We save this wood. We use everything over and over again. But if you look at the barn and then look back at the house, you'll see they're the same building.
I
have sponsorships.
No, we don't, but I wish we did, because it costs some money.
Yeah. I'm from San Antonio, Texas, Bear County Master Gardeners. We worked the San Antonio Rodeo, and this is for 2 weeks and 3 weekends. And we had a building, and we had a big grocery chain sponsor a lot of the building, plus a lot of the materials that went into this right here. Of course, they had their names everywhere subtly, but we were able to promote the education that we want to give people, but also the Master Gardener program. And they were a super big help.
So looking for local sponsors, that's would be a wonderful help. Yeah.
Well, the fair does get sponsors, but we as Master Gardeners do not. They let us use this building and put our greenhouse on their property all year, so we feel like it's our thank you to them.
Yeah.
But I'm going to look into that sponsor stuff myself.
Does anybody else have any questions for Miss Vicki?
About how much does it cost per year?
Well, last year, since we did the woods, and I just went out in the country and salvaged old trees and limbs and things like that, and we had the tree stump already at the fair. And of course, we already had the house. But last year, we spent less than $200 on this. But now this exhibit was the whole. This is just what the picture you're looking at now is just a third of the exhibit that we did. 1/3.
Okay, so you have multiple sections.
Yes. And this particular section was a lot longer than this. I don't know why the other pictures didn't come. But this one cost probably $200. The most expensive thing that I've ever done was the Charlotte's Web, because the moss cost so much money because we couldn't find enough.
And then the initial cost of like making the barn and all that kind of stuff, those things that you've been reusing for years afterwards, I'm sure that had something.
Well, everybody just about, I found, a lot of guys have lots of old wood around the house. And my husband's the same way. He says you can always have a use for it. Well, we need old wood. And people bring us wood. It's not always pretty lumber, but it looks like the farm.
Yeah. And these plants like that we're looking at here on the, making the garden in front of the little house, those are just potted plants that people brought from their gardens? And
Yes, we ask every master gardener whether they can stand or not. If they'll start making cuttings and making plots for us, and we fill the building with flowers. The entire building is filled with plants.
Wonderful.
About how big is the building?
It used to be a livestock building, so it's large. It's very large.
Okay, so you,
But
I mean, it's at least 30 by 50 or something. I'm just kind of guessing, but I mean, we're talking about a whole building that they.
Yeah, it's a barn.
okay,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get perspective on what you're filling, what kind of space you're filling up.
Mm-hmm. But even if you couldn't do it on that large of a scale, I mean, even just having a scene like this, something that people would want to come up and take pictures, around and touch and be involved. I mean, I think that would be really, really cool. You don't have to do the whole thing, but if you could adopt some parts of the idea, that's kind of what we're here to do. So that's great. So thank you, Ms. Vicki, for sharing. We're going to move on just for the sake of time. And at the end, we'll open it up for more questions. And so if people want to just talk broadly, we can do that. But thank you, Ms. Vicki.
You're welcome.
All right. Next on the lineup is Sevier County. And I believe we have a Master Gardener volunteer who's going to present for us today for Sevier County.
Yep, I'm here.
Hey, how are you, Miss Tammy?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. So you just want to jump right in there and tell us what's going on.
Okay. All right. I also have my mom here with me. She's a master gardener too. She doesn't want to peek in very much, but she's my partner in crime on a lot of this stuff. But yeah, this first picture you see here, the cow. This is our entrance gate at our county fair, and every year that we decorate the front of the gate there. So this is the very first place that people come in to the fair. And I think I started Master Gardeners in 2012, and this was already happening at that point. So we've just sort of carried that on, and we're still doing that. So this is the first impression as people walk into the fair, they get to see a Master Gardener display there. And we decorate in other places as well. We have a Master Gardener that does the floral there at the fair, and we decorate in that area.
Is this the picture? Is this kind of that area?
Yeah, that's actually working there at the fair gate. So you can see the gates on the right. The buildings are there. That's where they come through. Okay. And we decorate this whole area. Plus there's a spot you don't see that's back toward the front that we decorate as well. And we try to tie in with the theme of the fair. There's always a theme, and we try to sort of relate that in with our decorations every year on that.
I'm going to go back to this first picture here. Can you tell me, are y'all just like getting stuff ready, collecting items? Like, how do you go about getting all these awesome decors?
A lot of the plants are grown by Master Gardeners. Occasionally we do have to buy some things. Whether we do pumpkins, different things. We had an experience a few years back. We decided to use watermelons, and we made them look like little people. We put googly eyes and all this stuff in them. So we actually punctured the watermelons and put these eyes and stuff in them, and found out that 90-degree temperature and punctured watermelons with holes in them doesn't work real well.
Oh no.
They explode. They actually don't do very well. So we've sort of learned over the years. But yeah, a lot of this stuff we have, it's been collected over the years. Where you see Larry and Pam in this one picture, the bottom right, that's actually the floral department at the fair, and we decorate in there every year. And then that top picture, that's just us getting together and going through some of our decorations and seeing what we needed to toss and what we could redo for the year on that one.
And are they making like those like a little fringe border to hang off of the display shelves? Is that what that is?
Yes, that's what that was. it went all the way around the floral area, just add a little different color and stuff to it. And that's just scrap material that we collected from people, and we just tore pieces and did that. So that's what they're doing in that picture.
That's really pretty, because sometimes those entry displays aren't super attractive, you know,
Right.
and something just to make them look a little prettier, you know.
Yeah, that area, the floral area, got a brand new paint job last year. So it's very vibrant and bright now. Lots of beautiful decorations, even some artificial grass and stuff goes in that section there.
Cool. We already talked about that.
Uh-huh.
And then,
Okay, we have a unique position where we're at. You see the building there, that's our extension office. And this is our demonstration garden directly behind the extension office, which is actually on the fairgrounds. So during the fair, we can bring people back to our demonstration gardens and do tours in the garden back there. And we've done that. The garden was built in 2013, so we've been doing that since then. And this year, just started yesterday, we will have a new greenhouse. They just started on that yesterday. So we'll have a greenhouse that sits in the same area as well, that we'll be able to bring people back to do demonstration garden tours and greenhouse tours there.
that's wonderful. And how convenient that it's right there by the, you know, that the office is there at the fair. That is wonderful.
Yes, it's a perfect location for us. And I'm not sure what the next, I can't remember what pictures I sent you, but we can.
Okay, neither. Here we go.
Okay, so our challenge with the demonstration garden and that area is we're the back part of the fairground. So it's sort of hard to get people back there. They want to do the rides and everything, which are out front. So in order to try to pay people through the exhibit hall, 3 years ago, we decided that we would do our own Master Gardener exhibit area. So this area you're seeing here is only open for Master Gardeners to enter their exhibits in. We have special ribbons that go back here for the prizes, and we also have a higher payout than what the normal floral does. And you do have to be an active Master Gardener with this. You have to have logged hours last year, and you have to have paid your dues this year in order to be able to enter exhibits back there. And that has sort of drawn people back. And this location is also where the Ask Master Gardener desk is at. So we get people to that, and then they draw on the people on back to the demo garden. Larry, I don't know if Larry and Pam are on here right now, but Larry is that person too that can pretty much sell ice to an Eskimo, and he can get just about anybody back to the demonstration garden. So that has helped pull people on back for the tours back there.
Yeah, I know Larry and Pam are definitely on here. I've seen their face this morning.
Yeah, I saw him earlier, but yeah, he is a great benefit to pull people on back to the demonstration garden. And at this section too, this is where we sign people up for the new classes that we can contact them. And we, there are questions get asked at the information booth, but we found over the years that more questions are getting asked when they get in the demo garden, because it just prompts. There's so many different things back there that people don't think about until they're back there. So the demo garden has been a great benefit.
And then this is a really neat idea here. I see the donations for Master Gardener's community programs. Do y'all have a lot of participation, like, from folks with that?
We've experimented with that a little bit, and it does pretty well. This year, I think we actually had a wheelbarrow that was full of gardening supplies, and you're in that gray area of you can't really do a raffle, so we call it a not raffle. Mm-hmm. But we actually can have candy, and you can sell the piece of candy. They can donate for the piece of candy and get a raffle ticket kind of thing. So that's what we do with that.
Cool. That's really neat.
Do you guys have any formal education programs through the fair that take place out of the demo garden?
Well, the last probably 4 years, we've done Twilight Series classes, and those have been in the evening there at the fair. We started out doing Twilight classes without the fair, but then we decided we had a built-in audience there at the fair and tried to do them there. We don't really have a great response with those. You may have a handful of people come back, and then part of them are master gardeners anyway. I don't think people really aren't there for that, and I'm not sure how we can draw. We've tried to advertise. We actually have an ad in the fair book with the schedule and stuff for that, but just people are just not coming back there for the classes, but they come back for the tours.
They probably want 10 or 15 minutes. They're not there for 45 minutes. Huh?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And then, Tammy, I think I had one more. Well, I had several more slides in here, actually. So this one, do you want to tell us about what we're seeing on this?
Yeah. The picture on the left, that is our Junior Master Gardener exhibit. So we started out with juniors. We were doing a craft back there with people that come through, brought their kids back. And the time, money, and things that were involved with that, there were just not a lot of kids doing the craft, but we still wanted to promote Junior Master Gardeners. And the exhibits you see there on the left, those are our kids, some of those. There was a few more than that, but they do a My Year in Junior Master Gardener exhibit board, and they can win ribbons and money with that. But that also promotes Junior Master Gardeners. People are seeing what the kids are doing, so and the kids can come back here if they want to and stand and talk about their board and their year with that. And then the picture on the right, we don't do that anymore. Our Junior Master Gardeners used to be under the white tent, but we're inside now. And we actually had a yellow brick road. You can sort of see the black material leading back there, and it was painted with these yellow bricks and stuff that led people back to the garden, but we're not doing that anymore.
And then this is my last one that I had for y'all, Tammy.
Okay. Yeah, and we have a best of show that we do in the Master Gardener area, and one of the areas we have is creative containers. And one of our Master Gardeners, Andy Bush, he had done this exhibit with the reusable, I think they were actually Mountain Dew bottles he had used, and that was awarded best of show that year. And then of course we encourage our Master Gardeners to enter in all areas of the fair. We enter things from our demo garden. The bottom picture on the right is actually out of our demo garden. So we cut things out of the garden and put in there too to enter, and then the money just goes back into our Master Gardener funds.
Awesome. So this is a question that I had, since you were saying that you've got that specific area where only Master Gardeners can do entries, but it does kind of draw people back there because they want to see, oh, what did the Master Gardeners bring? Like, does that take away at all from your regular horticulture entries that are maybe in the different area, or do you feel like it's just encouraged other people to participate?
No, we made sure when we set up that exhibit area that it did not, that we did not overlap with any other floral that's over in the other department. So like the creative design, we do a creative design. We've got some garden club ladies that sort of encourage that. And then we do edible and medicinal herbs. So it's things that are not over in our regular floral that we have back in the Master Gardener section. So it encourages people to do that.
That's a wonderful idea. I was wondering how you were, keeping that crossover. That's really creative and a good way to go about that if someone wanted to start doing that in their own county. Is there anybody else right now that's on the call with us that does that has those separate Master Gardener entries? I think it'd be a really cool way to kind of advertise ourselves. But the key is you'd have to get people to participate. It wouldn't do much good if you only had 4 entries.
Yeah, one of the things we did with this area is for our Master Gardeners, to encourage them to enter things. We love our pins. So if you enter 3 exhibits or more back in this location, then you earn a special little gold ribbon pin. It looks like a little rosette pin that you earn, and we give those out at our awards in December. So that sort of encourages people to do that.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you, Tammy, for sharing with us. And we've got 2 other groups here going to tell us a little bit about their fairs. And then again, at the end, like I said, we'll make sure and open it up so that we've got plenty of time for questions.
Okay, you're welcome.
So next, I had Davidson County on here, and as we know, Davidson County is in Nashville, and that is where our Tennessee State Fair is. But unfortunately, David couldn't be here with us today, and his president, Miss, I said her name wrong, Elisa, she is recovering from an oral surgery. So she sent me these pictures, and I'm just going to kind of walk y'all through it. You know, I've never been there, but she just kind of gave me the rundown so I could share it with y'all. So each year they change their theme, not the whole, well, I mean, you know, all fairs have themes each year, but the Master Gardeners specifically, they come up with their own little theme that they want to base everything in their displays off of. And last year's theme was Earth, Wind, and Fire. And can you see in the biggest picture here, the stand-up kind of, I don't know what you would want to call that, like a display board, a tall stand-up display board with Earth, and these denote the different areas. There's one in the back left that says wind, and then one in the back right that says fire. So, you know, you go to those main signs, and then all of those mini displays within that area have something to do with each of those topics. So I thought this was pretty neat, and I blew up the one about wind because it had a neat little saying on there. Each of these had kind of creative quotes at the bottom. And it says, "The morning wind spreads its fresh smell. We must get up and take that in, that wind that lets us live. Breathe before it's gone." And so they just kind of, you know, followed that same style with all of their area display boards. And then she sent me a few photos of some of the smaller, you know, display tables within each of those areas. And this one here on the left, sun and water and wind give us weather. And so, you know, they have informational, educational boards that are, I'm assuming that they're unmanned because I didn't see any people in any of the pictures. So I'm thinking these are displays that they just set up and leave for the duration of the fair for people to tour in and out of, you know, at their leisure. And then, of course, they have things that they can take with them. Then the one here on the right is focusing on soil sampling, how to do it, instructions on it. They have our soil sample pages posted up on those felt boards. What are the important reasons why we should test? They actually have some samples of different soils here on display and talk about the differences in those. So I think these are all, like, especially that soil sampling one would be easy for anybody to set up, and it'd be helpful because it's something people really need to use. And it's also helping to promote our extension because you go to the extension office to get your soil sample boxes and you go there to send them off and so forth. So that's kind of a neat joint effort. This was a mini display they had set up inside the weather station, the water area, and it was about rain barrels, and they kind of went over, you know, is a rain barrel something that you could use? It's kind of walking people through, you know, the benefits of rain barrels, blah, 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 and then for them to determine if that would be a good thing, you know, fit for their lifestyle or helpful to them in any way. So I thought that was really neat. And even though they didn't have the actual rain barrels, they did have, you know, good explanatory pictures and places, references for more information in case they wanted to construct their own. And then finally, I really love this. It's their pollinator section. And this was only one of the boards. I think they had actually like 4 different pollinator boards. And they were all had beautiful pictures and were very well organized. And again, had information that people could take away with them to look things up on their own. And I just thought that was a really neat and would be an easy thing for a lot of people to do And it's a topic that interests people. People are interested in pollinators. You know, it's hard. You know, soil sampling is practical, but most people aren't drawn to soil sampling. So maybe you might put a soil sample right beside your pollinator board, and maybe they'll stumble upon it inadvertently. So I thought that was kind of neat. And then the last thing that I kind of wanted to present from there, now these pictures are not from the state fair, they are from the Nashville Lawn and Garden Show. But they have a butterfly house there, and they set up a butterfly house as well at the state fair. I just couldn't find any pictures of it. And Elisa told me that this is actually something that the extension office does, not particularly Master Gardener, but I thought it was a good idea. So I wanted to throw that out there. You can see on the left, this picture on the left where it says big coloring wall, right over to the left of that, it looks like a tent that has mesh on it, and that's the butterfly house. And they've released these mature butterflies inside there. You can go in and, you know, feed them nectar out of your hand, and they'll, you know, land on you and all this really neat stuff. And then I liked how they incorporated a few other things along with the butterfly house. So yeah, it's cool to go in the butterfly house, you know, but what are we going to learn from that? And so they made this coloring wall, and they've just posted it here. And this could be anything. It doesn't have to be butterflies, but throughout the several days of the Nashville Lawn and Garden Show, people came and colored sections of the coloring wall. And by the end of the show, the whole thing was finished, and it was contributions from hundreds of people. And wouldn't that be really cool to try to do something like that at a fair and put that on display at the next year's fair? And, you know, just kind of have that rolling over, or incorporate the previous year's wall coloring mural into whatever your theme for your Master Gardener Corner is going to be. I thought that would be something really neat. And maybe even you can see their stand-up banner here. They're kind of promoting all their community gardens in that Nashville, Davidson County area. So I thought those were some neat things that I think that they're doing well at their state fair, and wanted to share that with everybody else. And I can't answer any questions because I know that's all I know. But is there anybody on here who's in the Davidson County Master Gardener? They might be able to answer any questions. Is there nobody? All right. Well, we'll just roll right along to Wilson County Fair. I'm so excited to hear about this Wilson County Fair. And Lucas and I have been running behind, so I'm sorry we didn't get pictures from their Master Gardeners. However, their fair is so organized that I went onto their website, and they have catalogs of pictures from like the past 10 years of their fair. So I pulled a bunch of pictures off just to kind of give you an idea about what it looks like. This is not their Ferris wheel. This was just a random picture I got off the internet. But this sunflower field to the main entrance here, I guess is that your education building, Lucas?
Well, that's actually the expo. The sunflower field is actually by Debbie Joins, who used to run the Soil Pest and Plant Center in Nashville. She works for the James E. Ward Ag Center now. So she did that last year as kind of an experiment, and you talk about a success. And it was probably, I don't know, 400 feet maybe of straight sunflowers. It was a variety called Firecracker, I believe. And it was pretty unreal how she did. And people wanted their pictures in those sunflowers the entire time. But the Master Gardeners were not associated with that. Right. We do have about 1,000 other projects that we did during the fair. And that's why Mary Ann, woman behind me right here, she has been involved with the fair, and she's a Master Gardener for a number of years. And she knows more than I've only been involved about a year and a half now. But I'm going to let her talk about it because we have one of the smaller fairs in the state. Our attendance was right over 500,000 last year. So some people don't realize, and I want to encourage you, if you've never been to the Wilson County Fair, make it a priority this year to come. I will even let you buy my supper. So come on.
So I wanted to include these pictures of the Midway just because look how much fun that looks. It's huge.
Yeah.
And I'll let Mary Ann take over and tell. She knows more about all the roles that the Master Gardener plays because she's been doing it for a number of years. But Mary Ann Pelletier.
Thank you,
Hi,
Mary Ann.
everybody. I've been doing this for about 10 years now, and I've been lucky enough now to work in the actual fair office as an employee for about the past 2 years. So we have a real good relationship between the Master Gardeners and the fair. In this picture during the fair, we have a demonstration garden. And this is where our Master Gardeners man the garden, and they answer questions from the public. They have an Ask a Master Gardener booth in the building that you see. Also, what they do every year, the fair has a commodity of the year. So one year they had the year of the corn. So they celebrated everything that was corn. So the Master Gardeners would plant different varieties of corn. We had popcorn. We also had all different varieties. We had
Sweet corn, some field corn. We also had the Paymaster, which was actually developed here in Wilson County. So that was something special. Another year, we had the year of soybean, and a lot of people really haven't seen what soybean actually looks like on the plant. So that was kind of special also. Now this year, the Master Gardeners are safe with planting something special because it's the year of wool. So they don't really have to worry about that. But I love the idea of Putnam County with the Dusty Miller. That was a great idea. We may steal that, actually. Some other things that the Master Gardeners do during the fair is they actually man some of the competitions. The fruits and vegetables, the Master Gardeners actually is a chair of that competition, and they do the check-in of all the vegetables and fruits. And they also man the booth throughout the 9 days of the fair. They also do the flower show. We have a Master Gardener who's also part of the local Gardeners Guild who chairs that, and the Master Gardeners also help with check-in and manning that booth also. And then the last competition, which is a fun competition, which everybody always wants to volunteer for, is the wine show. Especially judging the wine show. Everybody wants to judge the wine show. I don't know why.
I don't know why, but they usually end up walking out of that building very happy for some reason. I don't know why. So we have a lot of support with the fair. We are lucky. We actually have a line item in the budget of the fair for us to use on all our projects that are on the fairgrounds, which means all the flower beds that we take care of, they pay for the flowers, the mulch, everything. So that's a big help for us, definitely. Let's see, what else do we do?
Well, we're
looking at the Master Gardener building there. Do you want to tell them a little bit about that?
Yeah, this is in Fiddler's Grove, and actually it was a great partnership. So the James E. Ward Ag Center, which is the fairgrounds, the expo, and the Fiddler's Grove, which is kind of three things all under one umbrella. There's one section of the James E. Ward Ag Center. It's called the Fiddler's Grove area, which is kind of a historical area. So our Master Gardener building is in Fiddler's Grove, along with a bunch of other antiques and buildings and things like that. And a lot of people, it's like walking back in time, and that's actually where our demonstration gardens are. And it's usually a really popular area, and we'll usually have anywhere from 8 to 10 Master Gardeners at the booth there or in our building, in our gardens, answering questions, because we usually have a fair number of people walk through. Now, last year, this was where we actually did some of those home garden variety trials in the garden, so it was kind of easy to show people, here's 2 varieties of cucumbers, here's one that's really disease resistant, here's one that's already dead. So we actually left some of those things up, and I sent a picture to Natalie of those different things. But inside our building, because this is our building, we have a lot of different handouts. We give away seeds, and usually it's usually pretty popular. And I think a lot of people don't realize like the amount of entries. So our flower show this year was right at 1,000 flowers entered, and that includes everything from cut flowers to arrangements to potted herbs to cacti. I mean, the categories go on and on. So I think it is one of the larger flower shows, and it does take them a long time to judge. Now, I saw Bob Airy on here. He judged our vegetable show last year. I think I saw him on here. We had a fair number of vegetables. I'd even hate to take a guess, but we're all the time pushing people to enter stuff for the fair because we want it to be well represented. Like our flower show takes up one pretty large building, and that's just the flower show. And I'm sure there's other things that we do. Oh, we also have a Flower Power Container Challenge. So we assign different containers, mixed containers, plastic and metal, and you design it and you get judged on it. And you kind of judge the container. You plant the containers based upon the commodity, which this year it's wool. And we're actually using wool in one of our landscape beds at our Master Gardener building as a mulch. So you're gonna see wool everywhere when you come to the Wilson County Fair this year. But you can actually sign up to do one of those Flower Power Challenge to make a mixed container and get judged. And those go throughout the whole fairgrounds too. And I don't even remember how many there were of those, 25?
There was 25.
But
yeah.
they're large galvanized containers that we use to kind of highlight certain plants. So what else, Marion? What else am I forgetting?
I can't think of anything else.
We live, eat, and breathe the Wilson County Fair. We